I want to congratulate our first customers at our brand new facility right here at Gala Chevrolet, the Jose's. And how was your experience?
It was awesome and great.
What'd you end up buying?
We bought a 2018 Chevy Silverado.
And how would you say the experience was overall?
I've bought all my cars here at Gala Chevrolet, and we couldn't wait for the new facility open, and all the people really treated us well.
Well, on behalf of Gala Chevrolet, we say thank you, and we'll see you soon right here at Gala Chevrolet.
Dream Style Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dream Style Remodeling is family owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dream Style Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Nothing completes a trip downtown like a visit to Lindy's Cafe. You won't find a more relaxing restaurant to unwind at. Located on 5th and Central, proud supporters of Proview Networks, Lindy's strives to be a friendly and welcoming place.
Lindy's, a great place to be seen.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Welcome to another edition of the Sports Desk. I'm Ed Nunez. Scott Coletti is on assignment. Joining us today is legendary broadcaster Henry Tafoya, better known as Henry T. Henry's the host of ESPN, the Henry T. Show, Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Henry, thanks so much for being our guest.
I'm nervous. What am I doing here on the Ed Nunez Show?
Well, it's a Sports Desk. Don't tell Scott Coletti that's
man.
So. Yeah.
And I just want to, what an honor to be here with you.
Well, Henry, gosh, you know what, you and I run the gamut. You know, I got my radio career started with you in 2009. I know Mike Adams, feels loyalty to you. He started out with you as well. You've mentored a lot of young announcers. Sebastian Noel got to start with you, doing baseball with you many years ago. And Marty Seiss, who was just Steve Davis' guest here on the Steve Davis Show, feels the same way. If you haven't done radio in this town, if you haven't done it with Henry T. or done something with Henry T., I mean, you've been on Channel 4, Channel 13 back in the day, covered the Lobos, back in the 70s. You've done so much for the business. You're a Hall of Famer, 2015 New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame inductee. So, Henry, it's a pleasure to have you on, man.
Well, I'm nervous, and I'll give you a little story about being nervous. Muhammad Ali told me one day, the day you stop being nervous, the day you stop getting butterflies, go do something else, because this activity doesn't mean anything to you anymore. And boy, I tell you, this must mean a lot, because I am shaking in my boots, perspiring and everything, because I'm Ed Nunez. You know, and I'll tell you something about Ed, if it's okay to steer your show
go ahead,
for 30 seconds here. I've worked with Ed. I worked with a lot of people. There is no sportscaster, sports reporter that I've ever worked with that knows more than this guy. You know, today on modern day radio shows, they have a question for the audience, and there's this guy real quick typing it up on the computer, and while the guy's still asking the question, he's got the answer already. So talk show hosts, they go to that computer so fast, and they sound so brilliant, you don't need a computer. He's a walking computer. And I mean it. No one knows more about sports that I've ever met more than Ed Nunez. We've done so many games together. Not one game did we ever have a computer. It's all here and it's all here because we were born and raised here. And you know what? Knowing New Mexico sports history, for you and me, it's everything we've been about. And going to a computer, for me, I wouldn't even know how. It's embedded in your mind and my mind, in our hearts. We grew up here. We've been fans, little kids, little leaguers, being coaches, players, referee. Wow. We've done it all. And it means so much to know that much about the state that we love. Ed Nunez, the #1 research man, walking sports encyclopedia. This man I'm with today.
Henry, I appreciate that. And, you know, again, you've been on, you started really, we're going to talk about a gamut of things here today about the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame, the current situation with the University of New Mexico Athletic Department over there, and, you know, that they're rumored to maybe be cutting soccer. We'll see about that. I know you're a big fan of Jeremy Fishbein and what he's done with UNM soccer program. But back in the day, Henry, I think when I think of KDEF 1150 AM and the sports talk and the sports, all the games that you covered back in the day, you cornered the market back then, and of course starting out at Channel 7 and then Channel 4, to Channel 4 and then to Channel 13, Channel 7 too?
All of them.
Channel 7, you worked at all three of them. So I remember the picture that you have in your house with you and Dick Niffing and Bill Eisenhood. You know, you got the mustache, and it's a 4, and you guys, a great picture. I wish more people could see it. You know, you shared that with me because you and I are really good friends. But, you know, talk about early on with your career, and I remember you saying how that started off. And I don't think when I was young that I missed the Henry T. Sports Report at night. You know, and I remember a couple of things, too, you said about what Dick Niffing taught you, never lead a story without a source. I remember you telling me that more than once. You know, we talk more, you know, at least once, twice a week. So I remember you telling me that. Could you explain a little bit about what that meant to you as far as getting mentorship from the Dean of New Mexico Newscasters, wow. Man? I mean, the guy's a legend himself, and Dick Niffing.
Well, you talk about the all-time teacher of how to do television news. He's the daddy-o. Nobody knows more, in my opinion, working a newsroom, working a news staff, lead story. You go to Dick Niffing, and he's got the sources out there, whether it be the police, the fire, FBI, whatever big subject matter was there, the governor's office, administrators, legislators. Boom, Dick's on the phone. He's got the story, he's got more information, and he's got sources. So always take care of your sources, know who they are. You never know when you're going to need them. Don't burn those bridges. Always have that source and reporter relationship, and it's called trust. Dick led the league. Still to this day, when I think, wow, look at that man work the newsroom, they're going to have this story covered because Dick knows how to do it. And one of the biggest reasons, maybe the biggest reason of all time, that Channel 7 was always #1, or wherever he went was going to be #1.
That's right.
Because he knew how to handle a newsroom and how to put that feeling in every reporter, every photographer, anybody in that newsroom, teleprompter, mechanic, no matter who, felt like you were part of Dick's team. He was Newt Rockney in that newsroom, motivating, teaching, always expecting the best out of you. And when you work in the environment of a guy like Dick Niffing, you want to be your best. You don't walk in there half ready. You walk in there early You walk in there ready, and that's what he taught us all. So
that's part of your team back there, and it's important to note that I remember when he retired 2 or 3 years ago on Channel 13, and they had the outgoing ceremony for him. I still see him. My wife works for Catholic Charities. He comes to some of the events. Humble man, very humble man. So when you mentioned again working with, that's probably the greatest newscaster, one of the greats. So everybody has an objective opinion, but certainly it's a short roll call when they talk about New Mexico newscasters. So that's one of the people that you work with. But I want to ask you this too. Back in the day, sports reporting has changed so much. Channel 7 really, they had Orlando Griego, Bob Brown for a while, Simeon Smith back in the day. They had so many sports reporters, but people are cutting their budgets on sports now. So what was sports reporting like back for you? You reporting for Channel 4. Remember, this is no text. You can't get a hold of anybody by text or email. So you got to call. You have to call them. Hope they answer. I don't know that there's answering machines back then. What was it like covering sports in the Duke City back when you started?
Well, it was always exciting to me. Sports has always been exciting. Since I was a little kid, I would get up early, and if I had a quarter in my pocket, I'd run down to the corner drugstore and buy a newspaper. And if I had another quarter, I'd go in the bakery, get myself a chocolate cake donut, sit on the curb, pay for my newspaper, and start reading everything. I'd watch anything and everything that was on TV. In those days, we had one game a week on our black and white TV, of course.
Game of the week, NBC Game of the Week.
And I was all over it. And I love those early broadcasters too. But, my grandfather Dave, he was a big sports fan. He'd take me to Tingley Field, would watch the Albuquerque Dukes. I'd get to know them all. They were my early heroes. I'd walk across the street. He lived on Candelaria near Valley High School. I'd walk across the street, jump a fence, walk an alfalfa field, and jump over a ditch to see my Valley Vikings play on that special field. Practice. I knew all the Valley Vikings. So my early sports baptism, if you will, thanks to my grandfather Dave. What a man. Took me everywhere. And that old jalopy we used to drive around with, we were a pair. We were a team. But it was his influence taking me here, there, and then I'd see somebody practice, at Valley High. We lived right across Candelaria from the alfalfa field and the ditch, and I'd go over there and watch the Vikings play. Got to know all the Valley players. I was kind of like their mascot. They taught me baseball, football, how to be an athlete. I have a glove in my hand. What's that for? Oh, man, throw me a ball. Fundamental stuff. But that's where it all started with me. They even stuck me on the bus one day. It was an early afternoon game on a Saturday, and I jumped the fence. And man, bad boy me, I didn't tell my grandparents or my mom that I was going to go to a game at Milne Stadium. I had no idea where Milne Stadium was. But the Vikings got me in the back of the bus. They snuck me on, and there I was getting off the bus at Milne Stadium, walking in this huge stadium to watch my team play, the Albuquerque Bulldogs. On that day, the great Bobby Santiago was playing, big number 42, fast, quick as an alley cat, amazing athlete. My Vikings got beat that day, and I cried. I was so involved with sports at such an early age, and it just grew. You mentioned about the game of the week. I used to love to hear broadcasters, and Lindsey Nelson was my favorite. And I'd go in the backyard and I'd shoot hoops, or I'd be throwing the football on the Valley practice field, thinking I was Lindsey Nelson and describing myself running for a touchdown or hitting that last second shot. That's really where my broadcasting came from, is learning early from pros like them. Gene Osborne, one of the all-time early greats right here.
Yes.
And even the great Mike Roberts, when I was a kid, listening on my little transistor radio, doing an Aggie game with the Lobos down in the high school gym. Las Cruces High School gym is where the Aggies used to play, and the only way we could get it, and then I had this little jittery little transistor radio, then I had to put tin foil on it and everything to make it work, and I made it work. and I learned broadcasting from Gene Osborne and Mike Roberts. They taught me how to do it.
I still remember Gene, but barely as a kid. Gene Osborne was,
I was a little kid.
I just barely remember him, but listening, of course, to you and to Mike Roberts. Lindsey Nelson did games for the New York Mets back in the day. I remember the game of the week, Tony Kubek, Joe Garagiola, Kurt Gowdy. You know,
all those guys.
Kurt Gowdy was an amazing, the American Sportsman. People forget about the American Sportsman with Kurt Gowdy. That was a heck of a show on Wild World of Sports. That really was. You know, they tried to bring it back a couple of years ago, and it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
But those are some great memories, and I can see you in the backyard. We all went in the backyard and shot. I used to have a basket that my dad put up for my brother and I, and we all wanted to hit that last-second shot. You know, Nunez at the buzzer, and, you know, you dreamed about that. But you, at a young age, were already thinking about broadcasting then, because you're broadcasting it in your mind.
I really wasn't thinking about being a professional broadcaster. It was just part of my fun as I went to the backyard. You just needed that little description to make it more fun. And I'll always make sure I had a brand new net and my rim was painted fresh.
Oh,
and I
man.
put lines around my court. Man, I was slick.
Oh, so you had it all. Because, you know, our court, my dad had to, you know, cement it over, and he did the best he could. But it sounds like you remember the chain nets too. The sound those chain nets would make.
Hey, man.
Those chain nets, I love those chain nets.
It's a sound all in its own.
They don't even make those anymore. They don't, because anybody gets their hand caught in there, it could be some
I wore my basketball
damage.
out on nylon. Can you imagine if I'd have put one of those chains on my rim? Basketballs wouldn't last too long. I was always shooting hoops.
It's funny because I think they thought those chain nets would last. I guess they thought they would last longer. And I still, remember those chain nets at Whittier, where we played at when I grew up, was at Whittier Recreation or Whittier Shelter Center, wherever you want to call it. But we all have memories of that, and it's fantastic that you can still remember all that, because I know that you, again, people forget, you played for Jim Ottman at Sandia, and Coach Ottman told me this a couple years ago about you, that you still hold the record for most passes attempted at Sandia and completed, I believe. I believe you hold the record for both, if I'm right.
Well, I'll tell you, Coach Ottman used to say, don't pass unless you have the ball in your hands. I was greedy. I love to throw the football. That's an exaggerated statement, by the way. Don't look at me so serious.
No, it's funny because back in the day, in the late, when you played, passing was, not you know what I mean? It wasn't looked upon. They wanted to move the ball by the ground. So, that you passed, I think, 40 sometimes in one game?
Yeah, I think it's got to be a record. That might be a national record. I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, fantastic athlete at Sandia. We'll take a short break and be back on the sports desk after these messages.
Comes Atkins as he'll send two in motion, including Williams. Atkins, he can move, gonna fire on the run, and Atkins gonna go for it. Oh, he had the pump fake and the bite as Kelly will celebrate. Holbrook's gonna hand it off again to Kelly, and he makes his way. As Holbrook takes a low snap, fires Holbrook to the end zone. Yes, holding on. It's a touchdown. Holbrook gonna hand it off to Kelly. Kelly makes his way to the 5 and all the way in. Take it to Brown. Atkins gonna fire to the end zone. It would be a tough catch if it is. That's Bray in motion to the far side. Davis gonna go deep. He's got him. Dello Davis. Touchdown. It's tipped. Oh, and Reese Jr.'s going to get a free. There's two in motion on the far side. Here comes the blitz. Atkins steps up. Look out. He's got a lot of speed, and he points out a block. Atkins going to take it all the way. He takes it the distance. It's a 28-yard touch. Handoff is to Bray. And Bray's going to go the other way. He's going to pick up a block from Holbrook. Look out, Antonio Bray.
Here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet, our ultimate goal is to make life easier for you. That's why we built our new ultra-modern facility from the ground up with the customer in mind. With 1,000 vehicles in stock, a great variety of pre-owned vehicles of every make and model, a clean, state-of-the-art service department focused on getting you back on the road as quickly as possible, and a sales team devoted to 100% customer satisfaction. All conveniently located in the heart of Albuquerque. We'll see you soon, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts. Like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Carmody Medical provides solutions for your everyday needs. Hot and cold compression wraps provide therapeutic compression for the shoulder, hip, and knee. The therapy wraps are constructed of an insulated outer fabric and a ventilated cotton pocket to protect the body. Elastic belts allow mobility and deliver a gentle, adjustable compression. The reusable therapy packs can be removed from the pouch and placed into the freezer. Contact Jim for more information.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk. I'm Ed Nunez. Scott Galletti will be back next week. We're joined today by legendary broadcaster Henry T. He's the host of the Henry T. Show, ESPN Radio 101.7, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Henry, thanks again so much for joining us. In the first segment, we talked about how you got your career started, and we haven't talked about how, you were the executive director of the Albuquerque Boys Club. You and I talked about this last night, by the way. All condolences out to Chester Fuller Sr. and his family. Chester lost his wife on Sunday, so all condolences out to the Fuller family. You've known Chester for how many years? An ex-great Lobo. He was one
great man.
More than, and I think one of the things what he's done for the community. I look at his family, and he was one of my first coaches at the community center level. I still remember him coaching us. I remember him being in the huddle, and I still remember that. So, him and his family, Chester Jr., took over the boys club where you were the executive director. I haven't had a chance to visit. You told me it's like a Club Med now over there, and
wow.
Chester Jr. has done a great job over there.
Chester Sr., what a great leader. And his character, strong character, trickled down into the bloodstream of Chester Fuller Jr., who runs that boys club facility now and doing a great job. But Chester Fuller Sr., the great Lobo, can shoot from the parking lot, quick as an alley cat, played defense with all his heart and soul, great leader. And I met his wife on a few occasions. Oh, what a great couple. Yeah, she is really going to be missed.
Oh, you know, it's
tremendously.
I had a chance to talk to Chester. You know, this kind of guy Chester is. My mother was on her last days a couple years ago. He saw me in the hospital, and I guess he must have read in the paper when my mom passed away, showed up at the funeral. I totally didn't expect that, you know. But he's always been a mentor to me. Even he comes by the job, you know, him and his wife would come by, and they'd work out. And Chester would always stop in the office and mentor to me one way or the other. You know, always, this is what you should think about. And of course, I just listen with attentive ears, because anybody that gives you your time, my wife always reminds me of how important people's time is. Of course, that's why we appreciate you being here today. You know, time is so important. And Chester, again, you know, we talk about this, great players, right? Sometimes great players don't make always the great people. They're not the best leaders. And this guy here, to me, when I look at him and I think about what you mentioned, he's very underrated as a player. That guy was an incredible player. And in his fact, Chester Jr. said his vertical was 40 inches. And what kind of vertical would he have with today's training, with what Chester Jr. offers over there at the Elite Sports Academy? You know, Chester Sr. would have been at 48 inches. Hard, you know, again, nutrition, training, everything has changed. The athletes know so much more now than when you and I, you know, played. And everybody says it's ancient times when we played, and you know, we did, and maybe it was, and things evolve and change. But when we talk about a community leader and just a good man, and you and I talk about good people and all the time, Chester Fuller Sr. is definitely at the head of that class, man.
Well, yeah, God bless Chester Fuller. And our sincere condolences to you and your family, Chester. Oh, man.
Thank you, Henry. You know, I want to go back. You know, I wanted to bring this up because, you know, everybody wanted to know. You have a great story about introducing. I remember one of the times, you're not going to believe that I remember this. I was playing in the championship for Pius at the time against John Adams, and it was at, I think, West Mesa High School. And I remember you came out and made a speech. The fans were getting kind of out of control, and you came out and made a little speech. And you know, no, you just calmed everybody down, because even then fans were kind of you know, a little bit. But I remember you being the executive director back in the day of the Boys Club. Tell the audience how you got your start, how you were introducing some kids at the pit from the Boys Club, which what it must have been a thrill even back then. We're looking at a different pit back then, but even without the Mez, I think the Mez wasn't even there then. No. So you're a proponent. We'll talk about that, how much you love the old pit, you know, versus the new one. But talk about how you got started there when they asked you to make some introductions for a starting lineup. Someone heard you in the stands. Talk about that.
Well, it's a beautiful story. We had a program at the Old Town Boys Club called the Youth Development League. Little kids, 6 all the way up to 16. And we had a lot of kids. We got uniforms for them, went around the community and got sponsors for them as well. And we're organized. All the staff, we learned how to officiate. We did thousands of games. We had bleachers there at the Boys Club where the parents could come. And one day I went to a Lobo game, and we were just all sitting around for 15 minutes. You know, what's going on? We got to wait here. Only 10 more minutes till they start. And it went through my mind, we need some entertainment in this big building. I bet if I went to the University of New Mexico and said, hey, let me bring our little kids over here and watch them play basketball for that intermission while the team is in the locker room, and it worked. The administration said, what? Let's try it. I brought my team down there in the van, 2 little teams, 1 in red, 1 in blue. We hit the floor, 10-year-old kids running up and down, dribbling, firing shots, having a great time, and the crowd going ooh and ah and loving the kids. And I'd introduce them like they were the Boston Celtics, like they were the Lobos themselves. Made them feel good. You know, at 3'1", here's Johnny Lopez. And I did it with a flair. And we're done with our show, standing ovation for the kids. We're running up the ramp, and some guy's chasing me up the ramp. Henry, 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 I own a radio station. I want you to be my play-by-play guy. Will you do it? And I said, yes. Didn't know what I was doing. And he gave me his card. I called him the next day. He put me on his little FM radio station. And then I was doing radio for high school games. Had no idea what I was doing, but having fun. I had a little bit of idea because Gene Osborne and those guys, Mike Roberts, and all those guys showed me a little bit, showed me a lot. So
by listening to them, like kind of listening. And Henry T has his own style, but listening to them.
Now I'm in the seat. What am I going to do? So you grew with every game. And then one night, the news director at Channel 7 and Max Glower, the general manager, they're stumbling on the radio. They found a game I was doing. They said, hey, let's call that guy. We need a weekend sportscaster. They called me the next day at the boys club and made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So before you knew it, I was on television doing weekend sports at Channel 7. Never took a journalism class at UNM. Had no plans of being a sportscaster. Never. It just kind of fell into place. One thing led to another, and man, it's a great story. It takes too long to tell, but it's a happy story. And I won't regret it for one day the rest of my life, being a broadcaster in the super state of New Mexico.
What year was that, Henry? I don't know if you can remember what year you started doing weekends on Channel 7, because after that, shortly afterward, I believe you started covering the Lobos. But do you remember what year it was with Channel 7?
Yeah, that was 1975, 76. And then I got an invitation. Muhammad Ali came to town, and I made him a wood carving during that same period of time. He loved it, and they gave me an invitation to visit him at his training camp in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. So I did that too. And I went back to Deer Lake, Pennsylvania, where I got to watch him train, got to do a television interview, and went there and had a great time with the heavyweight champion of the world.
Legendary heavyweight champ. And that interview you did for Channel 7 was featured on Channel 7 Sports at the time.
Yeah, we did. He surprised me. I took him a wood carving. He took me to a TV station in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and surprised me. And he had it all planned out, just out of gratitude.
Really?
And he said, hey, I appreciate those wood carvings you did for me. But here's the thing. I drove with him from Deer Lake to Allentown, about an hour's drive on a Pennsylvania highway there. And he's driving. I'm sitting shotgun. We're the only two people in the car. And he's giving me his speech, graduation speech at Harvard a couple of nights before. People would drive by and they'd recognize him. And he played funny face games with them. And I said, I'm with the heavyweight champion of the world, and I'm sitting right here.
He's driving. There's no entourage, no bodyguards.
Nobody in the back seat.
It's just you and Muhammad Ali.
And he's taking me to Allentown, where he's got something set up. We pull up in front of a TV station, and he's got it all worked out. We walk in, and I recognize this is a TV station. We walk in, I sit in a chair away in the back room, and I said, wow, I get to see Muhammad Ali be interviewed today. Then he sits in the chair on the set, lights on him, big time. And he said, Henry, come up here.
Man.
And he said, sit right here. He said, thank you for all the wood carvings and the special treatment you've given me. He said, I want to do something for you today. I want to pay you back. We're going to do a 30-minute interview, and you're going to take this back to Albuquerque. Man. And we did. Max Glower put it on prime time 2 nights in a row.
What kind of boon, again, with ratings? You know, they talk about ratings period. I mean, what kind of ratings boon was that for Channel 7 Sports at that time? We can only, you know, it's been a number of years, but I can only imagine what kind of boon that was for Channel 7.
Well, when you do it 2 nights in a row, that's unheard of. That's literally unprecedented. So, not knowing anything about TV or ratings at that time, I heard that was really good for the TV station.
Now, you and Muhammad Ali had a relationship for many, many years. I think your son Bear went with you, Aaron Tafoya. Did he go with you up to that interview?
No, but he was here, and Muhammad Ali got to meet Bear, my son Aaron. And every time Ali would come here, he would just call me. And the other TV stations, they always monitor who's got the lead story, what does he have today? And the other stations, they're looking at the television screen. Henry's got Muhammad Ali live from the Hilton Inn. And it shocked everybody. But that was that private call from Ali to say, Henry, I'm in town, come and interview me. So we put the live truck in action, went down, put Muhammad Ali on live 6 o'clock news, did my whole show out there, shocked New Mexico. Those are just highlights to broadcast story that's going to be in my book someday. I've already started the book, by the way.
We're speaking with legendary broadcaster Henry T. on the Sports Desk. And, you know, Henry, you and I talk about that book, and you could come at it with so many different angles as a newscaster, you know, the radio broadcast that you've done for many years. And there's so many things, so many angles that you've seen. You know, you tell me this all the time, and I always enjoy listening to you about Muhammad Ali. You covered the Lobos, and I'll still say this, and you and I've watched the Lobos for 45 years. You've watched them for longer. That time, the time when Norm Ellenberger was here and they're ranked number 4 in the nation, to me, was the most exciting time of Lobo basketball that I ever saw. For me, you know, again, Steve Alford came in here and had a 30-5 season, very, very exciting. But you know, the pit was different at that time, and the mezzanine and the fans. You saw them play Syracuse. I still remember that game when Jim Boeheim, the Lobos, actually lost in the Invitational. And I remember they named Michael Cooper the MVP, and Jim Boeheim went crazy. He went nuts. So you saw some great basketball at that time. You really did. And just incredible. People don't understand the seats that are media seats were student seats at that time. You know, so talk a little bit about Lobo basketball at that time. And you were covering it for Channel 13, I believe, or Channel, I can't remember.
That was Channel 4.
Channel 4. So you had the play-by-play for that. And hang on to your hats, Lobo fans. We've got another barn burner in the pit. I still remember those calls. So talk a little bit about the coverage of the Lobo basketball at that time.
Well, it's special because that was a special team, and it was the beginning of my play-by-play career as a television broadcaster. Wow. Marvin Johnson,
Mr. Automatic,
Michael Cooper, yeah. Willie Howard, Jimmy Allen, Mark Felix, Mike Stewart from Del Norte, Colorado.
Got to get that right. Got to get that right.
It wasn't Del Norte. It was Del Norte, Colorado, because up in Del Norte, Colorado, I went up there and spoke to the high school graduation class one day, and I just wanted, bottom line, is it Del Norte or Del Norte? And the majority of the people said Del Norte. So I knew I was right.
Yeah.
Took a lot of grief on that. Kidding grief. It was a lot of fun. But what a team. The Lobos of 77, 78, ranked number 4 in the country. We traveled around the country, and people didn't know who the Lobos were. But when we left their building, they certainly knew who we were. And Norm Ellenberger and John Wisnett, the head coaches of that team, Norm the head coach, John Wisnett the assistant, and that great staff that they had. Wow, these guys were disciplinarians. Their practices were tougher than any I'd ever seen. And you know, Coach Paul Weir's practices, they're comparable to Coach Ellenberger's practices. And what a blessing it is to see young athletes get in that kind of physical condition again.
You always talk about, you know, you've always said this to me, being conditioned as a referee, as a player. You've always said that to me. You're a big proponent of that. We'll take a short break and be back with more of Henry T. on the Sports Desk after these messages.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlings, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Hey, New Mexico, come check out the newly remodeled guest rooms at the new Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center, featuring 309 rooms, 30,000 square feet of meeting space. New Mexico's only indoor water park featuring the Wave Runner. 2,200 square foot fitness center with hydro massage chairs. Also enjoy breakfast at our new Manzanita Grill and watch your favorite team play at Altitude Sports Bar and Grill. It's all at Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center. Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you. Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with Proview Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of Proview Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today. Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan-favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering, let us bring our kitchen to you.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk. I'm Ed Nunez. Scott Galletti will be back with us next week. We've been talking to legendary broadcaster Henry T. He's the host of the Henry T. Show, ESPN Radio, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Henry, man, great to have you with us. Some great stories that you've been sharing, and you know, there's absolutely more. You know, I got to tell you this story, and Sebastian Noel came in and told a Henry T. story about one time you guys were going back and forth with the radio and the phone, and you and I did that a couple of times as well with some baseball. But this is a funny story I have to tell, that we're in the pit, and I was your color guy, you know, and I'm just kind of relaxing, and I'm not thinking, I'm doing my job, you know, as far as what a color guy does. And then right in the middle of the broadcast, it was the second half. Now making his debut on play-by-play, Ed Nunez. And it was like, oh, man. I still remember my reaction when I heard that in the headsets. I'm like, oh, man, my eyes went so wide because I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't. You know, I was comfortable in my role. But one of the things you did for me is make me think outside the box. And don't think of yourself just as a color guy, because that's what I thought at the time. But I remember, you know, I struggled at first because, you know, the people don't understand. You tell me this all the time, that it's boom, 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 to describe the play, be articulate, clear, the whole thing, try to give the picture. You know, so I had a lot to learn. But that was a story that I just had to tell about you, because I remember my eyes. I still remember like, oh, wow, gosh. You know, I don't know if I'm ready for that. But you threw me in the pool and said swim, and I had to try.
Well, that's really my philosophy about broadcasting. And I don't want to discredit all those great professors at UNM or any other school. And I love the books and I love the theory. However, the real baptism, the real experience of being a broadcaster is saying, here's the microphone, put it on, show's yours, start talking, see it, say it, let's go.
Yeah, I'll tell
Throw you in the fire now. You ever broadcast with Henry T? You're sitting right there. Be aware, I might just hand the responsibility over to you. And I did. And I'll tell you what, Star is born that quick. I knew you had it from the beginning, because before you broadcast, you were so articulate. Always had that great voice. You were a great referee. You were devoted. You had a great, beautiful wife to support you, and a great son, Nick. Dolores, she's an angel. You had all those qualities, your priority sheet in place, and you lived that life as a great leader for your family. I knew I had a guy of great character with me all the time, and I love the way you hustled as a referee. You had already proven yourself. So I said, here, try this.
I'll tell you what.
And man, did he do it, and do it well. And now he's going to the mountaintop, being one of the lead broadcasters in the state of New Mexico. I'm so proud of you.
Well,
man.
I appreciate it, Henry. Like I said, we owe you a lot. I know myself, a bunch of people, Sebastian, Mike Adams, we all started with you. And, you know, Mike always talks about that as well. You know, I do that show with Mike Adams on 610, and Mike always talks about you in the highest regard. Henry, I want to talk to you about something that's pressing right now with UNM Athletics. UNM Athletic Director Eddie Nunez, who came in here in August, had a grace period. You know, Eddie's a good guy. You've had him on your show. Yeah. Scott Galletti and I had him on about a month ago. And, you know, just the most gracious guy. But right now, you know, with the budget situation at UNM, that grace period is kind of over. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Now they're asking Eddie, you know, with the budget deficit and things the way they are, they're talking about, and hopefully this doesn't happen, UNM soccer, UNM men's soccer might be on the chopping block. You're a big fan of that. You went to Philadelphia 4 years ago and did a playoff game out there, and you told me how cold you were, and you and producer Andres T. I remember you told me you didn't pack a lot of warm clothes, but you went out there and you broadcast. You did a couple of Lobo soccer games. I know what a big fan you are of the program. Talk about the impact if they do decide. I don't think they will decide to chop that UNM soccer, men's soccer. I don't think they will. But
well, you know, everything you said is really true, and it's a personal thing because Jeremy Fishbein is as good a coach of any kind that we've ever had on our campus. And throughout the world, throughout the collegiate ranks of Division I NCAA soccer, he is so well respected. And his teams are always, man, they're always very close to being in that same Final Four situation again. His demands on them as good young men, you got to have great character, great student athlete. He demands a lot of them. His heart is totally in it. His family totally in it. He's a proven winner with that college soccer. When you go out there to his games, 2,500, 3,500 people in the stands. It's bringing in revenue. It's so exciting to watch. His efforts and that team have made me more of a devoted soccer fan. Now I know a little bit about the MLS and the Premier Leagues, and I love Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi and all that TV. If there's a big game on, big matches, they say, I'm watching. So they introduced me to be a fan. The experience in Philadelphia, I was up close and personal. And I'll tell you, that's as exciting of athletics as I've ever been a part of, and dramatic team orientation, camaraderie of athletes coming together, watching a coach direct his team out there in the Final Four. And there are great soccer programs throughout the country, and we're in the Final Four. We're at least one of the four greatest that particular year in that cold Philadelphia stadium, and I'm up there. What an honor to be there trying to describe this to all of New Mexico. And my personal feeling is, please, Board of Regents, save this program, a revenue-producing program. You've got a great coach in place. The fan base is huge because you go to any park, morning, noon, or night, on a weekend or week afternoon in our city throughout the state, you're going to see kids playing soccer. And now with the CTE problem of headaches and permanent damage to body and mind and brain and everything, the research done on tackle football, it's scary for loving parents out there. And you know, parents are sensitive. They want to see their kids healthy. And when they get carried off the field in a gurney, you know, that sport is growing more and more every day.
Yeah,
bound,
right.
I mean, the University of New Mexico has a great program in place, an incredible leader, and Jeremy Fishbein. Leave it in place. Let it keep growing. You know, I don't want to see any sports cut, but please don't start with that one that's bringing you exposure internationally, bringing you in money because people want to see it. They're going to buy tickets. It'll be on TV soon. And one of my aspirations is to broadcast college soccer, professional soccer. I love the game. So you're preaching to the choir today.
I'm glad you made that passionate plea, Henry. You're someone that's respected in this community. But, you know, we'll be back with legendary broadcaster Henry T. after these messages on the sports desk.
I want to congratulate our first customers at our brand new facility right here at Gala Chevrolet, the Jose's. And how was your experience?
It was awesome and great.
What'd you end up buying?
We bought a 2018 Chevy Silverado.
And how would you say the experience was overall?
I bought all my cars here at Gala Chevrolet, and we couldn't wait for the new facility open, and all the people really treated us well.
Well, on behalf of Gala Chevrolet, we say thank you, and we'll see you soon right here at Gala Chevrolet.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk. I'm Ed Nunez. Scott Coletti will be back with us next week. Producer Alden Iowani doing a great job in the back. Been speaking to legendary broadcaster Henry T. Henry T. Show, Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. ESPN Radio 101.7. Henry, thanks again for joining us. It's been really a great show to have you on. Henry, you know, you're a Hall of Fame inductee, 2015, and I remember when you got the call, you called Mike Adams and I was so honored when you called me. I was so honored, you know, that you thought of me to call. Mike Adams, when he made the Boxing Hall of Fame, called me. I was so honored when he called me because I was so happy for him. I really was. You know, this particular class, I want to talk about, there's great members going in, Rick Gallus, Johnny Tapia, Roy Jarella. You know, your interview with Roy Jarella on the radio a month ago was epic. I listened to it, and Roy Girello was talking about kicking off to Gale Sears, Dick Butkus on the coverage team. He's talking about what Butkus is saying to him. Gale Sears returns it, both Hall of Famers. Gale Sears returns it to 100 yards for a touchdown. I could see the situation in my mind. I really could. Roy Girello with the single face bar mask that they used to wear back in the day. Girello's Gorillas. I was texting you what epic radio that was. But I want to ask you about Johnny Tapia. Now, it took him a while. He got in the Boxing Hall of Fame in New York before he got in New Mexico. That rankled some people, man. It rankled me. It rankled some people. It rankled you. We're Johnny Tapia fans. You know Teresa Tapia real well. You know Johnny real well. Talk about what it meant for you to finally see the babyface assassin get in the Hall of Fame, New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, I kind of grew up with Johnny. I was a young adult boys club director. Johnny's a young kid growing up, both at Wells Park and the Old Town Boys Club. And I'd see him on a regular basis. Man, I'll tell you one thing. Yeah, he was a great fighter. Johnny Tapia could have started at point guard for any high school team in town. He had all the mechanics. Left hand, right hand, shots, speed.
Fast.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, up and down that floor. He was always in shape. From the day he was born to the day he went to heaven, Johnny Tapia was the epitome of physical fitness, physical condition. Despite the gremlins and all those demons that came after him, there was never a day I saw him out of shape, at the boys club especially. So he was a great basketball player. So and every night at 8:30 we'd close the boys club down. Time to go. Everybody's going home except Johnny. Johnny's still there trying to shoot baskets. So I said, Johnny, come on, man, we got to get home. I got homework to do from school, and I have a test tomorrow on campus. Okay, Henry. And I knew Johnny at that time. The more I talked to him, the more I knew him. He'd be hungry every night. Would stop by Monroe's to get him a hamburger, combination plate right there at Mountain Road and Rio Grande Boulevard, and then I'd drive him home. I remember this story about Johnny so well so many times. He would never let me take him to a house. He'd say, drop me off here, this is perfect. I'll walk from here. And then I thought, gee, something's to this. Johnny didn't have a place to go home. He probably went to sleep near a warm pipe that night. Broke my heart. And, the tragedy of seeing his mom get killed in front of him. Tough life growing up. I'm so fortunate I have my mom to this day. You had a beautiful mom too, so do I. Johnny didn't have parents. How did he make it? He had an elderly grandfather, but he became a champion. And I'm so happy that I knew that part of him. Yeah, I had trouble with the law and this, and he had that, but it wasn't because of Johnny. It was no leadership. Growing up in a home of leadership like you and me and you, and how would we have grown up? What would our lives have been like with no parents, living on the streets, just getting by? That was his environment. And to watch him be a world champion many times over, 5 times?
5-time world champion.
World champion. And when I was a sportscaster and I knew that he was a national Golden Glove boxing champion, getting ready with Paul Chavez to go big time, his debut pro fight coming up, I invited him down to TV 13. I can remember this day. We're standing outside. I'm interviewing Johnny Tapia. He had millions of interviews in his career. His first, proudly, was with Henry T.
You have a lot of first. Henry, you're going to have to wrap that up. I really appreciate you being on the sports desk with us today.
He's in the Hall of Fame. I'm so happy. Johnny's in the Hall of Fame. And his wife gave a beautiful speech the other night that had everybody at the convention with tears in their eyes at the convention center.
And we run that on Proview Channel 26. That's being run over and over. Legendary broadcaster Henry T. Henry T. Show, ESPN Radio 101.7, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Henry T., thanks so much for being our guest, man.
You're a pro. I'm so happy for you.
I appreciate that.
I'm happy for you.
For producer Alden
Nunez.
I appreciate it, Henry. For producer Alden Iowani, for Henry T., I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.